Good evening. This is Priya Siddiqui and you're watching Plain Speak. Dramatic scenes played out at the district hospital in Chitradurga this evening. At the center of this big controversy emanating from Karnataka is Swami Shivamurti Muruga Sharanaru, a religious leader of the state's politically powerful Lingayat community who was arrested yesterday over rape allegations. Now, after evading custody, hiding behind the health card, this Seer finally has been sent to police custody till the 5th of September by a local court. Remember, the 64-year-old Seer who heads the Muruga Mutt is one of the key Lingayat seminaries. He has been accused of rape by 2 minor girls, and a case against him under POCSO and under the law protecting scheduled castes and tribes was filed 6 days ago. 6 days, ladies and gentlemen. That's how long it took for the police to finally nab the Seer and accused under POCSO, where an arrest within 24 hours is mandatory. But clearly not in the case of Shivamurti Muruga Swami, who was only arrested on the night of September 1st. That too, after day-long protests by civil society and social organizations across Karnataka's Chitradurga and Mysuru districts, and of course, a relentless coverage by CNN News 18. So 6 days, the police does not touch him. System continues aiding him. After all, what explains the high-profile visits that the Seer received? And when the arrest finally does happen, extreme caution is exercised, barricading the front door of the mutt hours before the arrest and then taking him out by the back door. Now, what are we looking at over here? Who are the people who are accused of this massive horror? Let's look at the screen here. Shivamurti Muruga Sharanaru, who is the pontiff, the chief pontiff of the Muruga Mutt. He finally has been arrested. He is accused number 1 in this particular case. The second accused is Rashmi, who is the warden of Muruga Mutt. Now, she, of course, also has been arrested, accused number 2 in this particular case. Now, 3 others are on the run. One of them is a minor, in this case, a junior pontiff of the Muruga Mutt. He too is on the radar. He is currently on the run. He's a minor, so we are not revealing his identity at the moment. The fourth one is Paramashivaya, who's the hostel head. He too is on the run. He is also at large, so he is accused number 4 in this particular case. And the fifth and the final one is Gangadhar, who's also a lawyer, by the way. He too is at large and he is accused number 5 in this particular case. Now, if we have to actually go ahead and talk about what has happened when it comes to the timeline of this particular case, how has the law caught up with this Seer? Let's first take a look at the crime in this particular case. Like I was talking about, the crime is, of course, the crime of 2 minors who have now sexually assaulted, who were sexually assaulted, and this act happened between 2019 January to June in 2022. Let's now take a look at the action. The action in this case is an FIR that was registered by the Mysuru police on the 26th of August. Today is the 2nd of September, ladies and gentlemen. 6 days, and yesterday is when the arrest was finally made, and that too after a lot of dramatic scenes. So 6 days after the FIR was registered and a case was registered under POCSO is when the arrest finally happened. Let's also take a look at the cover-up. Now, Swami in this case has tried to flee. This happened on the 29th of August. The cops, in fact, ended up detaining him, bringing him back to the mutt. Then comes the defiance. Now, he goes on, addresses his supporters, his disciples. That too, on that very day when he tried to flee, that is on August 29th, he, in fact, is alleging a conspiracy in this entire scenario. Then also comes the unease. Now, what he has done is also approach the court. Now, if he is not guilty of the crime, then why approach the court seeking anticipatory bail? Now, this happened on 29th of August as well. Then comes the clincher. Now, he's finally arrested on September 1st, 6 days after the FIR was registered in this particular case. Let's also take a look at the dramatic scenes that I've been talking about. Of course, so much has happened out of Chitradurga in Karnataka. These are the visuals that will take you through from the arrest that happened on the night of September 1st. 10:07 p.m. is when the Murga Seer was finally arrested. These are the dramatic visuals that are being played out. This is when the arrest happened. 10:07, late night arrest in the case. Very dramatic scenes. Of course, the police exercising a lot of caution when it comes to the arrest of the seer. Now comes 11 a.m. next morning, that is today. Shivamurthy Swami is being taken to the hospital. Now remember, people, for 6 days he was absolutely fine. There was no health concerns whatsoever. However, this morning we hear that he is experiencing some sort of discomfort and hence that admission to the hospital is required. Now comes 11:30 a.m. when the seer moved to ICU after the chest pain complaint. Now, within half an hour of he being admitted to the hospital, he complains of chest pain and he's admitted to the intensive care unit. Let's now take a look at what happened after. This is at 3:40 p.m. where the seer has left the hospital. He's taken to the court. Remember, he's trying to evade arrest also. That is the big charge against him. He is taken to the court here on a wheelchair. The doctors really claim that he's not able to move. He's not talking much. These are very dramatic visuals that are played out at 3:40 p.m. today. Then at 4:20 p.m., the Murga Seer is sent to 4 days of police custody. So that's finally happened. Police custody was being sought of the seer. All this while he's been trying to evade any kind of arrest, and now finally at 4:20, the court had ordered a 4-day police custody for the seer in this particular case. At 4:50 p.m., the Shivamurthy Swami leaves the court and then goes ahead to the hospital. So all this has been happening when it comes to this particular case. The drama really unfolding every hour. It has been happening since last night when the arrest was first made till today evening. That is the big question that we're also asking. What is really happening in this particular case? Now, we are debating today the rape accused seer in police custody. Now, finally, that has happened, but is this a delayed action and is this a deliberate one at that? That's the big question that we continue to debate on Plain Speak.
Age after 60 or 40, 50, 60, there are chances of some diseases like heart problems and all.
ಕಾನೂನು ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಎಲ್ಲವೂ ಕೂಡ ನಡೀತದೆ. ಈ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತನಾಡುವುದು ಸರಿಯಲ್ಲ. ಅವರಿಗೆ ಮುಕ್ತವಾಗಿ ನಾವು ಸ್ವತಂತ್ರ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೇವೆ.
Joining me on the broadcast this evening is Ajay Gautam, founder Hum Hindu. Also joining me is advocate Sriram Nayak, who is the petitioner and also the lawyer when it comes to the people who are the victims in this case. Brinda Adige, activist, also joins me on the broadcast, and also joining me is former IPS officer Yashovardhan Azad. I'll start with you, Mr. Gautam. You know, 6 days on, the FIR was registered. The police has been dilly-dallying. No arrest was made despite the fact that the seer has been charged under POCSO, where an imminent arrest is required within 24 hours. And finally, after so much of drama, police custody is granted. How so?
First of all, when the delay in registration of FIR, then sustainable doubts of the benefit goes in the favor of accused. The so-called allegation of the POCSO Act and the molestation, these are only the basic information. These are not the charges so far. Neither any court of law has framed any charges against the religious seer, and these are the only information which is under the investigation. Now, issue is that when this is not today. For the last decade, this is a well-planned conspiracy to defame the Hindu religious seers, either in the North India or the South India or the elsewhere in this country. If some student has been planned and they come out forward and make these kind of false allegations against any act, had to just for settle the personal score and for the personal vendetta. And because Hindu religious seers are the soft target to be booked under these kind of charges and defame and do their character assassination. So these are what is happening to make the uncalled arrest. Why it is a delay for more than
Uncalled arrest,
1
sir?
month
You're
of
still calling
registration
this
FIR.
uncalled? He's been charged
Yeah.
under POCSO. I take this
Then,
across to Mr. Azad first. Let him first counter the allegations that you are making. The accused here gets the benefit, sir. Can you please throw light on what does POCSO mean, and an accused who's been charged
When
under
delay in
POCSO?
registration of FIR. Just 20 seconds, sir. Just 20 seconds.
Okay.
When delay in registration of FIR more than 7 days. So then the Honorable Supreme Court said in many of the judgment, then before make any kind of arrest, you have to do the preliminary inquiry, which and if you find what is the reason for the delay in registration of FIR. So therefore, I say must be say this is the uncalled and unwanted arrest because of prima facie the all allegation is being its appear false,
So
malified.
FIR
and
was
for
registered
personal
on the
vendetta.
26th under POCSO. He was charged under POCSO. The arrest was not made
What-
within
what
24
is the
hours.
date?
Let me take this across to Mr. Azad. Mr. Azad, when a person is charged under POCSO, what is the process?
Well, we've been debating this for the last so many days, and I compliment CNN for taking this up very, very aggressively. I said on the very first day that these are very, very serious charges. These are by minors. There's no question of hatching a conspiracy. And in POCSO Act, also Section 6 is a very serious offense, that is sexual assault. And sexual assault on minors have to be taken up immediately. Now, the issue is in this particular case, it was both, as you pointed out, delayed and deliberate action. In fact, to delay the process, there were counter FIR which was filed. I can appreciate the police taking 24 hours to see whether it's a case of a conspiracy, whether it's a case of the problems which is happening in the mud. But to leave the pontiff beyond the 24 hours is criminal negligence because, you know, in this particular case, you have the 164 statement, you have circumstantial evidence, and you also have the forensic evidence. And unless you have the forensic guys getting in pretty soon, all the evidence will be lost. So therefore, I think this delay of 6 days in itself is bad. In fact, the lawyer himself will tell you all this. And I think now is the time that a SIT should be formed immediately to take up the case to a logical conclusion. Now, somebody said, you know, the charge sheet, the court has not framed charges. Naturally, because the investigation is not complete. And once the charge sheet is put up in court, then the court is going to frame charges. So in the meantime, I think it is critical for the police now to move on quickly and do the investigation and not delay any further, because as you have pointed out, there are the other accused who are missing also. So a lot of things have been tied up, and that is why I'm again saying that an SI should be formed immediately.
An SIT should be formed is the argument that Mr. Azad is making. Advocate Sriram, I'll come to you. I'd first take this across to Brinda. Brinda, the fact that the accused in this particular case was allowed to stay where this crime allegedly happened, not for 1 day, 2 days, 6 days. Enough time was given so that probably enough time had elapsed because of which evidence tampering was imminent. That is something that needed to be looked at. Why was it not? That's also a big question.
You're absolutely right. Whether they arrested the pontiff in 24 hours or not is secondary. The state machinery, including the Child Welfare Committee, the Karnataka State Legal Service Authority, and the Department of Women and Child should have first gone in to secure the safety of other children and the evidence that you are pointing out just now. Because they got even the mazar done with the alleged perpetrator inside the mud. How can they get a mazar done? How will these children talk? What will they say? Stuff that happened inside his room, stuff that happened inside where this man is the owner. He owns that place, that room. There the mazar was done. How could the police do mazar? Taking the children to the place of assault, to the place of abuse and trauma and pain, and then have this man also sitting there. Don't you think that the children would have felt threatened? They wouldn't have been confident at all that they can speak the truth, that they can tell everything that they went through. The police
Absolutely.
bungled up from the beginning.
Absolutely. Advocate Sriram, it's a very important point that Brinda is making. But first of all, you guys have approached the court claiming that an unbiased approach is not being carried out when it comes to the probe in this particular case. Just take us through this petition that you've been filed before, that you have in fact filed before the court, and also this important point that Brinda just made, where the victims were actually taken before the accused in this particular case.
Yes, as far as what we have heard and what we have seen, during the time of spot murder, the victim girls were taken to the mutt and the seer was inside. As per POCSO Act, in the court of law also, whenever the victim girls are present, the accused will not be in front of the victims and they are not allowed to see each other. Such being the circumstance, the police have taken the minor girls inside the mutt when the seer was present, accused number one was present. That might prejudice the investigation. They might be threatened, or they might have also been not able to express themselves when the murder was happening. As my learned friend said just now, they might have been threatened also. And apart from that, the petition what we had filed was only for monitoring the ongoing investigation in so-and-so crime number. Apart from that, there is nothing. And the statements which were made by our political leaders, that made us specifically file these petitions, because the Home Ministry overlooks the police department. The Home Minister had stated some random statements which were not accordingly to his stature. So because of that, and after the merger, whatever happened inside the mud, those were the reasons for us to file this petition for the Honorable High Court to monitor the investigation with respect to this crime number.
Right. Ajay Gautam, care to respond to this? What is happening? Is this because it's election year in Karnataka that this undue favor has been given to the seer?
This is not a matter of undue favor and all these things, which are the allegations are against the religious seer. And I am the witness of the many of cases where the POCSO has been used as a tool just to occupy the property and the management over the trust and mutts. I am a witness of many of cases. When recently cases
So
has
we
been
are talking about minors
Delhi.
in this case. Don't you think a benefit of doubt should have been given to the minors in this particular case at the onset?
I give you the case number. I will give you the case number in one of the POCSO case where the Honorable Delhi Court appointed a commission, and when commission interrogate and examine the witness, the minor children who made this kind of allegation, they have admitted before the commission, some third party has been threatened to them. You have to make these kind of allegations
is that a fair
against the
argument?
accused.
Just come to think of it, we're talking about a different case over here. Just make me understand, how is that a fair argument? Here, so many things are going against the seer, Swami Shivamurthy, in this particular case. Can you please explain to me why did he try to flee the country on 29th of August?
No one is there. No one is there. What I want to say is, when there is somebody is weaving a conspiracy using the hardest act, the POCSO Act, against someone, then everybody has a right to defend themselves. Everybody has a right to get a fair chance of a fair trial. What is going on? Due to the media pressure, the religious seer has been arrested, and the people are questioning.
You are still saying that it's the pressure because of which he's been arrested, and I continue to underline that he has been charged under POCSO. The arrest was imminent in this case. He evaded the arrest for 6 days, sir.
He's not been charged. There is only allegation. There is the first information.
He's been booked under that. Yes. Yes.
And you know what is the conviction charges? You know what is the conviction charges under the heinous charges?
Mr. Azad, please respond to this. Mr. Azad, I'd like to again reiterate the fact that the seer in this particular case on the 29th of August allegedly tried to flee the country. He was nabbed from Haveri. He was brought back to the mutt, the scene of the crime, allegedly. He was brought back. He was kept there for 6 days. After 6 days, this arrest was made. So much of evidence tampering is possible because we've also learned from the initial inside track of the probe that he possibly used to beat up these minor girls with sticks There were weapons that have been found inside the mutt.
No, there are a lot of things which can be counted as circumstantial evidence, and one is, of course, the conduct of the accused, and the very fact that he was trying to flee at that particular time after he was not arrested for a couple of days. That itself lent credence to the fact that there was some kind of a deliberate delayed action in this regard. Mind you, as you have pointed out, it is really shocking to see that some of the politicians had already given a clean sheet to the pontiff. And the worst part is that it came across all political sides, just because Lingayat community affects about 60 or 70, assembly seats in the state. Yes. And this is very, very shocking, and that's exactly the reason. One of the other points which is very, very important here is, and I concede that the minors can be manipulated, they can be under influence, and that is more the reason why immediately after taking into a protective kind of a cover, they should be given in a kind of environment where they can speak the truth. And that's why I'm extremely happy that 164 statement was done by before a magistrate, and they stood ground. That is a very important thing. So this part about conspiracy, of course, will be unraveled later, but this case itself, POCSO, and we are talking about Section 6, we are talking about sexual assault, which carries a sentence of, a conviction sentence of 10 years. So it's a very serious crime, and that's why I'm saying the way the police has been giving statement that we have arrested, this is not enough. The question, you should immediately form an SIT. Already wrongs have been done by taking the children where the pontiff himself was there, and they would not obviously say anything. But you have to gather evidence. The statement has to be backed up with credible evidence.
Mr. Azad, what explains the recording of this statement before the magistrate after 2-3 days? After this was a much delayed, thing, which is part of the SOP, was done much later. What explains that? Yes, Mr. Azad, if you can hear me.
Yes. I think the statement, that's exactly what I said, that thank God, even after 2 days, they stood firm. One of the first things which should have been done, that is the evidence should have been recorded before a judicial magistrate, because it's like a FIR, which is, which comes out straight of your heart, and you say the right thing without any kind of manipulation or this. So if this has been done after 2 days, I think it is more credible. And of course, it's a statement for the judicial magistrate. Right. So it's a very good initial step in the investigation. It needs to be backed up very strongly by constituting an SIT.
All right. Brinda, Veerappa Moily of the Congress party is possibly the only political voice and a stalwart leader who's come out and ridiculed everything that is happening in the state of Karnataka. Do you think that kind of a voice is much lacking? There is nothing that has come out of the Chief Minister of the state or other political figures who possibly were genuflecting before the seer while he was there for 6 days after the FIR was registered.
Absolutely right. We need more such voices. That is what is the duty of the opposition. And the larger duty of the ruling dispensation is to ensure that the confidence is translated immediately on a daily basis, rather than giving certificates, character certificates to the alleged perpetrator. Which politician, which political party member came out to say the children will be safe, they will be protected so that justice can prevail? No, nothing about the children. Some of the swamis of other mutts came and said we sympathize with them. What do you sympathize with them? They have been traumatized, they have been assaulted sexually, abused, they are in pain, they are so scared because of all this drama and tamasha going on. Not a single political party or a politician, and sadly not even our Chief Minister and Home Minister, a word to the children, to the NGO, to say that do not worry, you've made a complaint, the law will take its course and nobody will stop that.
Ajay Gautam, why nothing for the children in this case? Would you like to respond to that? I mean, these are minors in the first place. Why has that blanket statement been given by political parties and leaders, stalwart leaders who are saying let law take its own course? They are very, very soft on what has happened with the seer, not willing to take a hard stance when it comes to the fact that he's been accused under POCSO. And these are minor girls that we're talking about, sexual assault and rape charges against him.
Madam, I am not jumping on the gun and I'm not coming on any conclusion. But what kind of experience we had in the past with regard to these kind of controversies?
So you're saying with the same argument.
I'm
asking you a different question. I'm asking you a different question here.
No. What about the characters? No one is giving a character certificate to anyone. No one is exempted from the rule of law. The law of law is supreme. But now issue is different at here.
अजय जी आप भी तो बिल्कुल वही बोल रहे हैं. मैं आपसे ये पूछ रही हूँ कि यहाँ पे हम दो बच्चियों की जिंदगी के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं. उनके लिए सीनियर लीडरशिप से कुछ तो बयान आना चाहिए था.
नहीं, बात सीनियर देखिए लीडरशिप की जहाँ तक बयान है जब FIR has been registered. Okay, the
arrest was not made, sir, for 6 days. Today also, and I'll come back to that drama also, what played out, what I actually showed at the beginning of the broadcast. Now, the seer, who was all hale and hearty, suddenly complains of chest pain. How convenient is that? Trying to evade judicial custody?
No, when you know when somebody is facing the character assassination and he know his life will be going to ruin under these kind of charges, then what do the person can enjoy and he will be come with a smiling face of like Buddha. Everyone, not even this is not a normal charge. And as far as person who is belong to the religious field, this is a next to die for. This is a situation where next to die for him.
Sir, 6 दिन से पता था. Impact 6 दिन के बाद ही क्यों हुआ? Why did the impact happen after the day on the night that he was arrested?
This is not a reason why he come fall.
No, I'm questioning the timing. I'm questioning the timing, sir.
I'm sorry to say that these kind of the statements are snatching the right of a fair trial of the alleged accused. I am using the word alleged accused, and he is the innocent until and unless he may prove guilty in any court of law. And we witness many
Advocate Sriram Naik, I'd like to actually give you the last word before I wrap up this debate on the broadcast. What has happened through the day today? This after the seer was arrested last night. You know, this is closer to 11 p.m. that we're talking about. Whatever played out in the district hospital where he was admitted, finally the court has allowed the police to actually take him into police custody for 4 days. Are you satisfied with whatever is happening? Because there were protests on ground that said that there needs to be a monitoring of the health conditions under the guidance of the Supreme Court. It has to be a court-monitored probe and a court-monitored, when it comes to his health condition, they need to be done because that is something that nobody is buying. This argument is not being bought by anyone.
Now, what will happen is, ma'am, once the person or the accused complains about his health, then the court is bound to act upon it, and it is not new. In every case, if in case a person or an accused complains, the court has to do its job, and it has to do as it has done right now. So now, after his medical examination or whatever will happen, whatever will come in the future, then the court will have to decide, because he's in the police custody now for another 4 days, I guess. So after 4 days, when the police come with a report after the investigation, then the court might decide whether he has to be sent to police custody again or he has to be sent to judicial custody. If in case he has sent to a judicial custody, then he can apply for the bail, and then the law can take its own course. But until then, the police investigation.
Are you satisfied with the 4 days judicial custody, the police custody that has been given to him?
That I cannot say, ma'am, because the police will have to act accordingly within 4 days. If in case they can collect all the documents or evidences, whatever is required, the forensics.
Brinda, quick word. Are you satisfied with whatever emanated out of the court today?
Certainly not. Certainly not, because he is now going to spend the next 4 days in the ICU, the comforts of ICU. And the retired police officer must be informed. POCSO is a special act. The alleged perpetrator is presumed guilty till proven not guilty. It is not like the other IPC cases. So please remember how the police have bungled up everywhere.
All right. We'll leave it at that, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to thank my guests for joining me on this big debate on the broadcast right here on Plain Speak. This is a big question that we are asking. 6 days, no arrest. When an arrest is finally done, when it comes to this very, very influential Lingayat Seer in Karnataka, he chooses to hide behind the health card. How much of that argument will hold waters? Only time is going to tell. However, there is a police custody that is now being granted 4 days when it comes to the seer. We'll have to leave it at that. We'll see how does the law take its course from here on.